Is that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On the filling station.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Good. How are you?
Hey, not too bad. Right from the onset,
Yeah.
I need to tell you that you are on the lockdown edition of the Feeling Station, so please do not say your name, okay?
Okay, I'll try to remember that.
I mean, even if you do make the mistake of saying your name, hopefully I should be able to fix that in post. But fingers crossed, you
Okay.
will remember not to say it.
Okay, great. I'll remember that.
Now, one of the things that people really like about this podcast is the fact that anybody who speaks is kept anonymous.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep your name anonymous by giving you a name that I've picked out.
Oh, okay, great.
How would you like the sound of that?
First, I need to know what my name is.
So I've gone for a Zulu name, and your name is Musa Wenkosi. And that means God's grace. And I believe that this is also a name used in Zimbabwe, particularly with the Ndebele people.
Yes. I even know a person called Musa Wenkosi.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
So you're cool with that name?
I'm gonna say yes.
I'll call you Musa for short. All right.
Yes, that's fine.
Now, you need to think of a name that you're going to give the guy that you're going to talk about today because, again, we have to keep people anonymous. So what name would you like to give the guy you're going to talk about today?
Okay, I'm gonna give him the name Paradzai. This is a Shona name.
What? Paradzai.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yes, that's what I'm going for.
That already gets me very worried and scared. Now, for the benefit of those who don't understand what that name means, do you want to share what Paradzai means?
Yes, Paradzai is basically, it means destroy. Yeah,
Mm,
that's what it means. So I have two options actually. There's Paradzai or Tawanda.
okay. I think I want to
Yeah.
stick with Paradzai because this is a
Okay.
breakup podcast, and I think something here was destroyed in a way that made you think of that name in the first place.
Okay, cool. Tawanda also had the meaning behind it.
Oh, really? Okay. Go ahead and tell me the meaning behind Tawanda.
Yeah, Tawanda means we are many.
Hey, okay. Oh my
No, let's go with
gosh.
Tawanda so you can actually call him Mantawa.
Oh, okay, fine. So we'll call him Mantawa, yeah?
Yeah.
I like where this is going. Now, for the benefit of those who are listening to this podcast for the first time, the podcast touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about with a view to share their experience and, most importantly, give a lesson to anybody who's listening to the podcast. So, what is the lesson behind the story that you're about to tell us?
Okay, I can think of so many lessons. Because this happened when I was really young and immature, and also coming from like a Christian background. I'm Christian.
Uh-huh.
This happened with someone who was a pastor. So I would like to say for all those that are Christians, a lesson that you should learn from this is don't listen to your pastor because he behaves in some form of way. Listen to the word. Don't listen to the person.
Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah. Another lesson from
Yeah.
this is you should start your relationships on a good foundation because karma is real.
Now, what do you call a good foundation?
A good foundation is just don't take someone else's person. So
Okay. All right. Okay. Awesome.
that's a good foundation. And the third lesson I have is because I said I was young,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say do not have sex unless you're ready, unless you're mature.
Wow. Now, people who are listening to this are going to ask you two really important questions. How do you know you're ready and how do you know you're mature?
Now, I think, to be honest with you, I think sometimes maturity comes with how you are as an individual. If you are constantly asking yourself and you feel asking more and more after that question, I guess it means you're not yet mature.
Okay.
And I know that sometimes when once you start having sex, you feel like, oh, I know everything. Like, you feel some type of way, like, you know it all.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this, but at least I think that's how I felt when I started. Like, you feel like you're untouchable somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a super interesting episode, so I'm gonna get right into it.
Okay.
Where does your love story with Mantawa, the pastor, begin?
Okay, it starts from school. I went to a very Christian school, a religious school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should mention the name of the school. I should just say school.
Probably not.
Okay, I will just say school.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was at a very religious university, so that's where I met Mantawa.
Yeah.
Mantawa was absolutely cute, so dreamy. Oh my God. And a lot of people will talk about him like, oh, he's cute, and he was not only cute, he was a funny guy. Like, you could have a great conversation with this guy, and it was nice. And I'm also a chatty person. I'm friendly, and so getting along with people, talking to people is not very difficult for me. And I also, at least I think, I have a good sense of humor. So we would laugh a lot. And one more lesson.
Okay.
I think just one more lesson.
All right, go on.
I would like to, especially young people, should learn to have a very good self-esteem.
Okay.
To be confident, because when you're not that, you will easily fall for anything and you'll be manipulated easily.
Okay.
So low self-esteem people are like easy prey for guys.
Okay.
Yes, that's the other lesson I'd forgotten about there. So that. He was a really nice guy, and everyone wanted to, be with this person. But I think I was in a relationship during this time. I was in a long distance relationship.
Okay.
The guy I was dating was in another continent, which is not Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, but so it was really long distance, and it's not like these people come back every other week. So yeah, and then I met this guy who everybody was talking about, and then we started talking and we clicked. And then I understood. So I was low key liking him as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't say it out that I liked him. And then he had a girlfriend. Well, during the conversations that we had, he would talk about, oh, my girlfriend this, my girlfriend that. And the girlfriend once came over to visit, and I actually really clicked with the girlfriend as well.
How did you guys end up talking in the first place, you and the girlfriend?
Because, she came to visit. She was not from the school. She was like, I could say an outsider, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so she was not from the school. And so she just came to visit, like, oh, she's coming to visit her boyfriend.
So you guys were both in long-distance relationships, pretty much, except that for him, his girlfriend was local and your boyfriend was international. Yes. Jeez, okay.
Yeah. And so she came over and we really clicked. We talked and we laughed. Because for me, it was a bit okay because, I had not expressed that I like Mantawa. So these were my own feelings. I was keeping these to myself.
But can I ask you a question whilst you're on that? As you're talking to this girl, did you at some point feel, okay, I'm better than she is? If I was to make a move, he might say yes to me because, I'm better than she is. No?
No, I wouldn't say that. And like I've mentioned, one of my lessons that you should have a very good self-esteem. I think I even thought to myself as, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. She's way prettier than I am. And,
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, no, I never thought of it like that. And I thought maybe talking to this girl would also help me not think of Mantawa like that.
Okay, right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was, all with good intentions. And then, mean, we carried on talking, but then the talking got a little bit too much. So, if you keep talking to someone, it kind of starts really growing so much. And then at the point, Mantawa said that he really liked me.
Uh-oh.
And then I was like, that's your girlfriend. But at the back of my mind, I was like, yeah.
Yes.
And then he's like, no, let's just fool around and see what happens. But then I'm thinking, but this is a pastor. But then I didn't want to question it because I like the fantasy of it. Like, okay, someone like this actually really likes me,
Yeah.
And then, we started fooling around. At first, fooling around started with, kissing, and being at such a religious school, we were not even allowed to hug.
Right.
Okay, so kissing is
it's like next level.
Yes, it was next level.
Okay.
But then we even broke next level to, we actually started having sex.
Oh dear.
And that was bad because we actually did it really regularly, and especially for a school or an environment where you cannot do all these things, we found ways to do it, and it was actually much more fun because it was really adventurous. Knowing that you can't really do it in a free place, or so it was really fun, and I enjoyed it, but I always felt guilty. Like I said, me being a Christian, I would feel guilty, like, oh my gosh, like, why am I doing this? So in my Christian walk, I've never been at my lowest. This was like my lowest. I was feeling guilty to even just to pray.
Yeah, of course,
because I felt this was the worst. And so I had to leave school at some point. And
why
I went
to... Well, why did you need to leave?
Because I needed to go and work.
Okay, right, okay.
Attachment.
Okay, internship type of thing.
Yes,
okay.
I was going for internship.
Yeah.
So I had to leave, and I went to another country to work there. And one of the other reasons I chose that country is because he was from that country.
So was this your way of getting closer to him?
Yes, this was my way of getting closer to him, because I think we fooled around for like a year plus.
Wow.
We never really told people what was going on. But, I mean, it became common knowledge because of how we became so close. Every time after class, he'd be waiting for me outside my classroom, and we'd spend the whole day together, we'd eat together. And also, you know how it is also in school, like people want to say, he dresses well, he has money, and, all the kind of stuff that young people prioritize.
Yeah.
And say, like, he's a great person, So he portrayed to be that person, but he really was not that person, actually. I discovered this when I then went to the country. So got to the country, he behaved like a totally different person, like, oh my gosh, who's this? Like, it was hard to get to just to see him, and versus school where I would see him every day, like after it. Almost my whole life was with this person at school. And then when I got to this country, I was thinking, okay, we'll still spend so much time together, but then it was not so different. So sometimes he would then be like, okay, so are you coming to pick me up for church, or are we going to church together? Or, so he would come and pick me up for church, and as soon as we get to church, he would just ditch me and start doing other things and give an explanation like, I'm a pastor here, I need to be doing this and that, so I cannot be hanging around. I was just like, oh, okay. And then, the girlfriend, they then broke up because she found out about me,
you,
and yes, gosh, I felt so bad. But, and then, we would go to church, and then the preacher man, Mantawa, would introduce me to other girls, like, no, this is my friend, you should, so that you don't sit by yourself. Talk to her, and because I was new in this place, talk to her. I was introduced to several people, like I think 10 plus. Oh, you should sit with her, she's really nice. I was like, oh yeah, I mean, he's looking out for me, so I don't feel lonely. So I mean, I actually made good friends with some of these people. That's what we did. And one other thing that I could tell you of one incident that made me feel like, oh my gosh, this is serious. This is next level. We were busy, like in the act.
Yeah.
And then he got a phone call from one of his senior pastors. Like, I don't know what event they were planning for. They were supposed to have some event of some sort.
Yeah.
So, and then he answered the phone.
Whilst you're in the act.
And then he didn't stop. So I thought, okay, he stopped because he's like, oh, Pastor so-and-so is calling. I'm like, okay. So I kind of felt guilty, like, oh, shit. And, no, he didn't stop. Like, he carried on. Like,
this guy.
what? And then I was, that's what for me, I was like, oh, I'm scared now.
Yeah.
Like, really scared. So, yeah, he didn't stop. He finished the conversation, cut the phone, threw it on the other side of the bed, finished off. Oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Wow.
So, yeah, and then, I discovered, I mean, he didn't really have all that kind of money and whatever, but then I didn't care about that. I really enjoyed what we had. And like I said, he was a good person to chat with. And, And then one time, my phone died. The phone that I was using died. And he's like, yeah, I've got an extra phone that you can use. I was like, okay, cool. And then he gave me his phone. And then he didn't log out his Facebook on that phone.
Okay.
So I was a little bit curious. I will come up with another lesson after this phone thing again. And I was a bit curious.
Yeah.
Should I go into this Facebook or I should leave it? I was like, let me just get into this thing.
Yeah.
And then I got into his messenger and we were a village of girlfriends, I should say.
What?
Yeah. So there was girls from South Africa, not girls from South Africa, girls from Zimbabwe, girls from Botswana, girls from Southern Africa. Like we were static of girls.
Can I ask a question? Because because I'm guessing as a pastor, I'm assuming that sometimes you'd have international or regional assignments, which would take him to Botswana, Zimbabwe, Malawi, South Africa.
Yeah.
And that's how we then make connection with some of these girls.
Exactly.
Geez, talk about spreading the word, hey? No pun intended.
He was really.
Wow.
He was the sower in the parable of the sower.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the incidents. I mean, speaking of regional assignments, he claimed that, oh yeah, I've been called to South Africa to have like they called them like where there's a guest pastor, and then people go to church every day of the week. So he claimed that he was the pastor. I say claimed because you will hear. So he claimed that he was the pastor. He was the guest pastor. I was like, oh, okay. I even went to say goodbye to him.
Wow.
Bye at the bus, and I even went with my family. My family who was in this other country. It was not my parents.
Okay.
So yeah. So I went. We said goodbye nicely, and saying bye to the bay, and then he went. So he was generally a pompous person, and I would expect him to have posted something about, oh yeah, today was the first preaching, and this is what happened, and
Yeah.
So no, he didn't do that, and I'm like, okay. Is everything okay? Because I now know this person. And then I asked him, like, so did you preach? He says, oh yeah, I did. A lot of people were happy. A lot of people gave their lives to Christ. So yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Are you sure everything's fine? Yeah, everything's okay. And then on Facebook, he started updating his status, like checking into like certain places. Checked into, I don't know, like maybe I could say, for example, checked into this restaurant with this girl and what. And then I
Oh,
asked him about it. It's like, okay, what's going on? It's like, no, she's one of the singers, and we were planning, you know,
yeah.
tomorrow's session, something like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I think I was a little naive, or I just didn't want to believe that. And so, yeah, it turns out basically he had gone to see a girl. He was not. He was not a guest preacher.
No, was he?
No, he was not. He had actually just gone to see his girlfriend, another one of his girlfriends.
Oh my God.
There.
I,
So
I mean, I gotta take you back to your investigation on the messenger
yeah.
platform, and then you found this whole village. When you say village, are we talking 2 or 3 people?
No, we're talking about maybe 10, 15 even.
I know that is not possible. Surely
No,
that
this is really possible. And some of these people are people I was introduced to as, oh, you can sit with this one so you don't feel lonely in church. You know, I was like, oh.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I mean, it was so bad. But for some reason, I carried on.
What do you mean you carried
No,
on?
let me not say for some reason. Because I had so much sex with this guy, I was so attached to him, and it was very hard for me to let go.
So how long did you carry on for when you say you carried on?
Maybe another year.
A whole year.
Yeah,
And
full.
and did you ever question him about this village of women?
Yeah, I did.
And what was his response?
He eventually, yes, he admitted that this is what was going on, and yeah, there's this person. I mean, I became so okay with it to a point where I'll be like, oh, are you flirting with this girl these days? And he'll be like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
so this is where the two do not have sex
Yeah.
unless you're mature enough, unless you're ready. And also, I think if I had a very good self-esteem, I don't think I would have tolerated this.
Such, yeah. I mean, because
So, yeah.
my understanding of how people are, if there's an issue around infidelity like this, it's normally one strike and you're out. Or if it's not one strike and you're out, the person can forgive you just the one time. But then when somebody,
this was multiple strikes.
yeah, I mean, so now when it becomes multiple times, then you know the problem now starts pointing towards you to say, why are you actually tolerating all of this stuff?
Yeah. I guess for me, like I said, I was immature.
Yeah.
And besides the fact of just having sex, having too much sex with this person, that's why I really think they say, you know, in Christian circles or I don't know wherever else, sex is for those people who are married or who intend to spend a lifetime together. So I think I engaged too early into this. But I could swear I had way more sex than the married people who were living at the
together.
school.
Yeah.
Yes.
This guy was pretty much a humping rabbit.
Yeah. Oh, yes, he was.
Well, one thing obviously comes to mind, and this may be a personal question, but hey, this is the platform where we can ask this sort of stuff. Now, were you and Mantawa having protected or unprotected sex?
So Mantawa and I first had protected sex.
Yeah.
Until I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We've been doing this for like a very long time now. And this is before I got to know that we were a village. So I was absolutely scared when I realized that, okay,
it was a village, yeah.
This is like a sexual network.
You know, hence the question around whether you guys were having protected or unprotected sex, because if you have such a huge network of people who are sexually active with one common partner, the chances of infections and diseases coming your way suddenly spiked and went, you know, really, really went high.
So hence I say this was a network.
Yeah.
So, I did not, and I was really scared. To be honest with you, my fear was when I thought of unprotected sex, my first thought was falling pregnant, and I don't want to fall pregnant. I don't want to disappoint my parents. And to be honest with you, HIV was the last thing on my mind, I would be honest.
Wow.
What was more frightening was the fact that I mean, falling pregnant, and I
Okay.
didn't want to do that. So I tried by all means to make sure that I do not fall pregnant.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't fall pregnant, but as soon as I returned, when I went back to my country, because I discovered this whole network thing, when I went back to my country, I remember my doctor laughed at me. I just rocked up and I'm like, hey, you know how they ask, oh, so what's wrong with you today? I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. I just want you to take my blood and test everything possible.
Test everything under the sun. Test my iron, test my calcium, test everything.
Test anything.
Okay.
He's like, wait, are you for real? I'm like, yeah, just test everything. Cholesterol, HIV,
wow.
anything. So yeah, he did that, and I was tested, and I was fine. And for me, testing okay was like a wake up call. Like, girl, can you be normal now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but I will tell you this: it was very hard for me. Even when I knew this guy was toxic for me, but even when I knew that there's no future for me and this person, it was very hard for me to get over it. And I mean, I did. It's probably silly, but I Googled like how to break up with the person, because I think it was like a soul tie.
Yeah.
And it was so terrible, and I had to Google how to get over this individual. And so, yeah, Google told me if you have anything that belongs to him, throw it away, give it away so that you're not, And I remember that's one of the first times I prayed earnestly, like from the bottom of my heart, and I cried right from my belly. I really cried, and it took a long time for me to. Long time is possibly like maybe 3 years to fully get over him, because sometimes I would think about it like a year later. I would think about it and I would start crying. Like, my God.
I mean, I gotta take you back. I gotta take you back a little bit. How did you do it in the end? How did you break up with him?
I listened to what Google said. Because, I mean, in the process when we were still dating, there were so many incidents where I would say, no, I don't want to be with you anymore. Okay, but then the next day he comes and then we have sex. And, oh, yeah, I love you. I missed you so much. I mean, it's just like, 15 hours ago?
I mean, I really shouldn't use this expression, but there's a word to describe what was happening to you. And I came across this, a friend of mine, we were having a conversation.
Yeah.
You were possibly what we call dickmatized.
Oh, yes, I was. Like, I really was. I will not deny.
Wow.
So,
okay, so so you listened to what Google was saying. You got rid of all of the stuff that was
except the phone, because I didn't have enough money to buy another phone at that time.
Okay.
But I logged out. I logged out of the Facebook and tried to stay away. He would try and, look for me sometimes to say, oh, hey, how are you? And sometimes I'd think, okay, maybe this is a genuine conversation. But then he would always turn it to, oh, let's hook up again. I'm like, no. It was hard for me to turn it down. But I told myself, this is not the person I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with, if at all. I cannot even introduce this guy to my family, to my parents. So, I mean, I eventually managed to break up with this individual. Sex is much more serious than we think it is.
There are some people who say that it's actually spiritual.
I think I can agree, because it has never been very as hard as it was for me to break up with someone. This for me was the most difficult. And I could say it's because I just had it too much. And what hurts me the most is, there's a whole lot of churches out there with toxic people like these who are taking advantage of young people who do not who haven't really built their esteem as yet, and this is really terrible. And especially coming from a church, it's really bad. But I should say he was a good preacher. I will not lie, but I found it very hard to listen to him.
That was going to be my next question, to say that given what you knew about him and what he was doing, how easy then was it to listen to what he had to say?
No, that for me it was very hard to listen to him. And from all this, what I eventually gathered, or what I eventually learned as well, was the title pastor is just a job title, like saying farmer, an accountant. It's just a job title. I mean, as a doctor, you are probably doing stuff that's bad for your health as well.
Yeah, correct.
But you're still a doctor.
I mean, I've seen a lot of dentists with really bad teeth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say don't listen to the person, listen to the word.
That ties in really well with all of the lessons you brought out. Now, just to do a recap, the first one, don't listen to the pastor, listen to the word. And now that makes sense, because he might be telling you one thing, but he's not practicing it. So focus on the word that he's talking about, not the individual.
Not the individual.
And then the second one you mentioned was that, whenever you start your relationship, make sure you start on a really solid foundation. And I guess your foundation was shaky because you were both in a relationship.
Yeah.
And then the third one, don't have sex until you're ready and mature. And I guess the sheer quantity of the sex that you had and the difficulty that you had in letting him go make a lot of sense.
Yes, it's
because if you are mature enough, you understand that, no, I need to hold fire on this because it could be a problem for me if I need to let go.
Yeah.
And then the very last one, which I feel is the most important out of all of this, is around the self-confidence and the self-esteem. Because if you had enough confidence and self-esteem, the moment you discovered that sex network, you'd have said, nope, I don't deserve this. I think more highly of myself. I'm out of here.
Exactly.
Wow.
It still hurts me to know that there's people like that out there. And I mean, till this day, I'm really passionate about finding out about, young people's relationships. I'm not the one to say, oh, no, don't have sex. But I advocate for safe sex.
Yeah.
I don't really, encourage people to have so much sex.
Yeah.
I know there's people that say, oh, no, it really brings us together. But, when you see like a 17-year-old in love and they say, oh, this is this is the love of my life. And then in the back of your head, you're like, should we tell them?
All right. Yeah. That's the level of maturity that you've reached.
Yeah. I really worry about young people, and I worry about their level of confidence and what they think love is.
Wow. Well, just as we're wrapping this up, a reminder of my guest's name. She's called Musa Wenkosi, which is God's grace. And when you really dig into what this episode touched on and the risks that she was exposed to by such a wide sexual network, it's only by God's grace that, one, she didn't fall pregnant before she was ready, and two, she didn't catch anything infectious that could have had an impact on her life and could be terminal.
Amen. No.
I'm about to turn into a preacher right here. God's grace is really befitting of your experience. And just before I sign out, the one thing, again, that sticks out the most, your self-confidence, your self-esteem. If there's anything that you can take away from this podcast, apart from the other three, it's this one important lesson. Keep your head up, keep your self-esteem in a really, really, really good place, and you'll be able to say no to infectious people who have nothing else on mind than to bring you harm and pain. You've been listening to another lockdown episode of The Feeling Station, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And as we are locked down, remember to stay safe, stay at home, and have a good day. Peace.
It's just so insane how we